Welcome back to Franco Fridays. Today I've got a film from 1998, which is, I guess I better cover this a little bit. Let me see if I can do this. Shit. Lust for Frankenstein, which is a double feature including to my left there, Tender Flesh. It's a Shaco-Rama double feature. These films, Lust for Frankenstein, Tender Flesh, were made about the same time as Blind Target, which I reviewed previously. And it's part of that one-shot production company that Franco participated in. I call this the one-shot period, which was a lot of what looks to me like a lot of camcorder type direct-to-video, shot-on-video type films, shot in and around Andalusia, Spain, in a hotel room. I mean, in fact, in Lust for Frankenstein, from a set location standpoint, it looks like almost the same set as Blind Target, and it probably is, because in the behind-the-scenes featurette, you see Leanna Quigley, who was in Blind Target. So, you know, all three of these films, including Maria Cookie and the Tarantula, that one, all those kind of shot in and around the same time period. So this film, Lust for Frankenstein, stars Michelle Bauer, Scream Queen Michelle Bauer, who looks great in this. Tanned, big boobs. I mean, she's just, you know, she's kind of just got this brunette bombshell thing going on. She is the monster. And then you've got Leanna Quigley playing the daughter of Frankenstein. And so this is a loose adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, spun around in only the style of Franco as a softcore porn movie is what it is. Lena Romay is of course, she plays the daughter of Frankenstein. She has these dreams of her father. And her father is speaking to her in this kind of this modulated voice, which is very hard to understand. That's one of the beefs about these shot-on-video films, is the audio is sometimes really poor. But I think it's exacerbated by the fact that in this instance, I think the monologue is done by Franco. It sounds an awful lot like Jess Franco voicing over as Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, and then they've modulated his voice, so it's very, very hard to make out what he's saying. But anyway, Lena's having these dreams, and it precipitates her bringing back Frankenstein's monster in the form of Michelle Bauer, who is in a state of animation, suspended animation, on top of a glass jewelry case. Yes, I said that. It just looks like a see-through glass jewelry case. There is no lab in this film. I think that would have been too expensive. She's just laying on a piece of glass, buck naked, in her birthday suit, with some platform gold boots and two what looks like bolt screws that they've just cut the ends off of and then pasted to her temples. Hilarious stuff. Typical, you know. I think when you talk about this is a great point to stop and say, for most people, the casual observer of Franco, they'll say, well, this is utter nonsense, direct stupidity. But in a way, they're missing the point, particularly if they haven't spent a lot of time watching Franco. Franco, it's not about high production values. It's not about pinpoint special effects, making sure the special effects and CGI and everything looks pristine. It's not about that. It's about telling a story. It's about concepts, and it's about visual technique. So, you know, the emphasis on production values and special effects, you're right, it's not there. In fact, it's kind of humorous, but for some people that would be a turnoff It's just not an important factor for Franco, and you definitely see that throughout his career, like erotic rites of Frankenstein with the Frankenstein monster in that film, which I'll cover in a separate video. That's not his focus. Whereas in today's world, you're all used to pristine, perfectly shot special effects and lots of action. And the special effects are just perfect, a la like Marvel Universe. This is whole different genre of filmmaking. Avant-garde would be another description of it. Anyway, sorry for that digression, but it was an important point. So he just uses these little bolt screws, the real thick bolt screws that you might see, when you're laying a wood deck on your, anyway, they cut it on end off and pasted it on her forehead. But she is Michelle Bauer is brought back to life to do Lena Romay's bidding. And what's her bidding? Well, of course, her bidding is a series of lesbian and porn scenes and threesomes. Of course, it's a Franco film, right? And so that's what happens is you get a lot of muff diving, you get a couple threesome scenes, but it's all soft core. You're not going to see anything hardcore in this. One of the issues I think with this film, excuse me, one of the issues I think we just need to come to grips with in this film is the fact that Lena Romay's mid-40s. She's pushing 45 in this film. And Mother Nature is not going to be denied. The laws of physics and Mother Nature will eventually catch up with everybody, and it's caught up with her in this film. I mean, things are drooping. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I think, her cast when these lesbian scenes with Michelle Bauer and the other girls is, the reality is it's a control thing. Lena Romay is exerting control and influence over these people, and that's one of the concepts that Franco has always been enamored with, including voyeurism. You've got Lena Romay in a number of scenes where she is being the voyeur and watching some sex scenes play out. So all those concepts are still the main primary focus, irrespective of who the actor or actress is. I think Franco's appreciation and love for Lena extended beyond the point with which she's a beautiful woman on the screen. I mean, she's a middle-aged woman at this point, so we just need to accept that for what it is. This film also gives new meaning to the term tree hugging. Back when I was 7 or 8 years old, I got sent off to summer camp, and I don't know what I did, but they made me hug a tree. I'll never forget that. And it pissed me off so much that I said, fuck this, I'm not going to hug the tree. So I basically left. I left the camp and walked my ass home. I think it was like 5 or 6 miles. I don't remember that, but I was not going to be disciplined. So, but this film gives a whole new meaning to tree hugging because Michelle Bauer is tree hugging in her birthday suit. So that you've got that to look forward to when you see this film as well. Number of interesting sequences in this, including at the end, when the ending is your typical blurred reality. Is this real? What's going on, or is it fantasy? I'll leave that up to you to decide how that plays out. But one of the scenes that are shot is a really interesting. I've never seen this before. It's shot through a doorway, and Lena Romay is sitting there looking like she's either asleep or dreaming or what have you. And then the door would swing back and forth. It'll block your view and come back, block your view, let you see, block your view, let you see. It works. It sounds like a case of bad cinematography, but it actually works in a bizarre way. The music in this is a bit of a distraction for me. The Ubangis, which is a kind of a thrash metal group, Franco chose to use thrash metal for the first, I don't know, 45 minutes. Every scene that has a lesbian scene or any kind of interesting moment is kind of consumed by thrash metal. And, I don't have anything against thrash metal. Actually, I like Black Sabbath. I like Motorhead. But there's a place for everything, and I think when you're looking at a lesbian sex scene, I'm not sure thrash metal complements that. It's kind of like, what kind of wine do you want with dinner? I mean, there's certain things that kind of coincide with whatever you're eating. Thrash metal is just not something that works for me when I'm watching a lesbian scene or a threesome. I don't know. It's thankfully, later in the film, we get some kind of the stripper type jazz music that is much more consistent with those kind of scenes later in the film, so it's not, you don't have thrash metal throughout the film, but the first 30 minutes, that's all you're going to get is thrash metal. There's an interesting scene at a strip joint with Lena Remay, and Lena Remay goes down on this stripper in a strip joint, that kind of thing. So there's just a number of sequences that are, the point of it is to display muff diving type scenes. I mean, that is what it is. Is this one that I'll go back to? No. Is this one that has any redeeming values? Yeah, I think it does. Is it a work of art? No. I would rate it a 5, maybe a 6 out of 10. I think it's one that Franco fans need to see, just so they kind of capture the whole essence of his career and thought process. But, the one-shot period is not, at this point, having seen Blind Target and now Lust for Frankenstein, the one-shot production period is not something that I would revisit on repeated occasions. It's just not my cup of tea. But it does have some redeeming values, as I said. As far as this release, Shock-O-Rama release, there are some special features. You've got a 23-minute behind-the-scenes look at the production of Lust for Frankenstein. You've got a selection of trailers from Shock-O-Rama, and then you've got a 5-minute interview with Michelle Bauer. So there you go. Also, I should mention that this has 2 cuts of the film. The European cut, which is like 7 to 10 extra minutes, which is really basically just an additional lesbian nude scene, and the U.S., the domestic cut. If you're interested in seeing Lust for Frankenstein without paying for it, it's on YouTube. The European cut of Lust for Frankenstein is on YouTube. I checked it this morning, so that's interesting. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll be back again next Friday with Franco Fridays, hopefully. Thanks.